How would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Neely, which is a serial entrepreneur who values experts. So Neely, tell us, what are the 5 steps to make your first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
First of all, Harry, the first step is to listen to your podcast and your amazing content.
Yeah.
So, in addition to the gratitude of me saying thank you to you for having me here, I truly believe that your content is both inspiring and insightful, and but it is, as we all know, as entrepreneurs, the execution and following up and constantly living up to those tasks to make our first million. It's hard, but the consistency, just like yours, I think is key. So the first thing, or maybe the last, but one of the 5 is consistency. And then come the other 4. So I know many, and since I come from the startup world, many entrepreneurs hear this frameworks of what you need is an amazing team. So you need to build a team. You need to find an amazing idea, et cetera, et cetera. But I always take a step back and rise above to the 10,000 feet view, 30,000 feet view of what is your vision. And if you have a team, then what is the founding team's vision? Which means if I look 18 to 36 months down the road, what does this venture of ours look like? Is it small, lean, and mean? Are we 5 to 10 people on our team? Or maybe do we have 3 people and all the rest is all outsourced on Upwork? Do we have a 50 people team, 200, 300, 500 people team? Where do our offices, where are our offices? How do we work? Remote, not remote. Who do we serve? Who are our favorite customers? Maybe even find a few brands that are like, I'm gonna nail that one. Not because of just the manifestation of it, but rather the true vision that has been statistically proven that 70% of entrepreneurs who have vision to detail their company, their goal, do reach it. And not just because of the spiritual mambo jumbo, but because it helps them screen many, many decisions along the way. So the more they're clear on their vision, the better it is for them, or easier for them to move on that path. The second thing that I would advise is to nail the founding team's core values. Core values are 3 to 6 words, means, phrases, maybe even a song that resemble what we believe in as a team and how we operate. Now, there is a framework to reach those core values, but the essence of them eventually is not just to find those words, and it's not just, teamwork, collaboration, truthfulness, loyalty. Fine. But there's always an extra step. For example, for me, right. So it's like to practice what you preach is nice, but to me, the more I dove in to understand what that really means, I chose the value that I call wouldn't it. Wouldn't it, based on Coach Wooden and his theories as a basketball coach to the universities in the United States way back. He died at the age of 104, practicing what he preached. So, and when you nail those core values, the most important thing is to find the common denominator of the team's core values with its customers and partners' core values. And why is that? We always talk about how important it is for entrepreneurs to find funding or to reach product market fit, which is what we just spoke about a few minutes earlier. To reach that product market fit means to nearly find those clients and strategic partners, by the way, that eventually may invest in your business, that you guys have a mutual connection. You have a low common denominator, a belief or an operation mode that is easy to gain trust around. So number 3 after consistency and vision is core values. Then what's really important to me is the mission, or what is your North Star? The North Star, or the North Star metric, as it was, the North Star was snapped by Silicon Valley in California and is now used as a metric. And what is that North Star metric? It's a one metric, a one measurable element. For example, by the way, Airbnb, do you know what their North Star is? It's nights booked. How many nights booked?
Wow.
And that is what they follow. There's one metric that everyone follows. And when you have that North Star, you have
Wow, that's
that
very
one,
powerful.
you know how to screen all of the opportunities or no opportunities or search for opportunities that come your way and to engage with. So if, like for me, my measurement is not the amount of customers I have, but rather the amount of referrals I have from people who do not know me,
Wow, very
who I
powerful.
have not met. That's my North Star, and I can rattle about it forever. But once you have that North Star, that is crucial. It's crucial to your mission, and again, it creates it removes the anxiety and all of the decision making of should we go left or right.
And everybody focus in that metric that can make a big difference.
It
Absolutely.
can create a whole different kind of conversation, which,
100%.
by the way, many coaches on your team, on your show have already discussed the communication skills and how to speak and how to get your message across. So I won't dwell into that, but the moment you're so focused amongst your team, and believe me, I've seen probably hundreds of startups in just in the past couple of years, helping them grow, find their market fit, crystallize their messages. And that friction amongst them that usually derives with the lack of core values and not really understanding what they're measuring or what's the most important thing to measure, right? Just like at home. You did the dishes, you didn't do the dishes, the laundry, the this, the room, the bath, you didn't get this, you didn't get the milk. It doesn't really matter. Are the kids at home? Are they safe? No, but everyone has their own metric. And the fifth thing is the promise. A promise, and again, this is a framework I've been working on for nearly 15
I love
years.
it.
I launched my startup in the influencer management world and then helped companies go from pre-seed to IPOing on NASDAQ. And
Wow.
I found that these four elements, the vision, the core values, the mission, and the promise, are, when they're connected, that is the compass. So what is the promise? The promise is a little bit of an if-then. If you join me, if you become my customer, if you join my team, if you be my investor, then something. Now, the promise is very, very, very tricky because when I work with entrepreneurs, they say, I need a few messages, right? I need a message for my clients. I need a message for my team that I'm going to engage with, and I need a message for investors. No, you don't. You need one. And the
Absolutely.
moment that how will you know you have your message? It'll fit. It'll fit all three of them, and it will
What
make
is your big promise? What is your big promise, right?
exactly. Just like
Oh, only
I
one
help
big
people
promise.
move faster in the right direction. I help
Exactly.
people
That's
move
it.
friction.
That's
That's
it.
it.
That is involved in 360 what you do. Look at this. How
Exactly.
many words? Not even 5 words. Yeah. And that's it.
But
That's
on
you.
one hand, it takes time, by the way, to
That's
process
very
the data.
exactly. And we're gonna we let's start because there are a few points that you touched that I love it and I would like you to expand. Yeah.
So I'm done
Uh,
with my 5. It's your turn.
okay. So out of your 5, there is few that I love. Yeah. And let's start with my favorite, one of my favorite, what you touch point, which is culture, right? From out of the 500 multi-millions that we interviewed in this podcast, all of them are startup founders. When I asked them, if you had to start all over again, what do you do different? And most of them are telling me agriculture. If I knew that it's gonna take me 10 times, 100 times longer and it's gonna be harder, I will pay more attention to these 5 people that start to work with me, to that culture, because if I nail this bit at the beginning, they believe that they can achieve to the end result way faster. And now you nearly you're 100% right. You are putting this culture thing in one of your 5 steps. So how important is culture in actually start and grow your business and achieve your first million? This is something like, oh, this is just a word. We don't care about this. We just hire whatever we can. We don't have time, or is it really can be something that will have an effect in the way that you grow your business?
Oh, for sure. Culture is a very big word. And in a way, it means different things to different people. And I found that when speaking about culture to especially serial entrepreneurs and those, someone raised $40 million on their A round, which means the second round after seed, the running up round, or they, and they're like, I raised my money, I'm okay, I have my clients, I'm working towards product market fit. But culture, if you break it down into something that is more tangible for people that are less, I don't want to say spiritual, but the world
Mm-hmm.
culture gives them a little bit feeling of, I don't know, the Albert and Victoria Museum. And then what I would say is that, okay, what are your vibes,
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
example? And yes, it's extremely important because again, if I talk about culture and I break it down, then again, what I found fits most and helps me with identifying a culture is the core values. Because the core values, again, there are 3 to 6 words, memes, or phrases that represent what you believe in and how you operate.
Mm-hmm.
Culture, if you talk about, the British culture, the American culture, the French culture, Italian or Israeli cultures, or Russian or Chinese, you, in essence, can talk about that whole nation and describe its common denominators in just a few words.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about the courtesy, it talks about, the personal engagements, it talks about the warmth, how much like I'm a hugger, but when I go to the States, and even if I work with someone remotely for half a year's time, if I come and hug them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is the culture. So in addition to saying culture is extremely important, I would always aim to break it down into the atoms of your culture. How
Mm-hmm.
do you operate? What do you
Mm-hmm.
believe in? And that turns, the values into something that's more than just trustfulness, loyalty, or collaboration or customer first, but rather a feeling of what would it look like to step in the office.
And do you think that culture is always a work in progress, or I just define my culture, I got my core values, I believe whatever, I got my strong belief. Everybody in the organization believed it, and this is something that I designed at the beginning, and I've never touched it again. Or culture is actually something that is in its content work, content improvement, content reinforce this I call it an empowerment context. This empowerment context, because when that culture is there, people come to where yeah, and especially what's your view on leadership on that. People will go and core, especially for your startups, they're not gonna go for the money. It's the most risky thing in the world. They're gonna work from their sweat and leave sweat and tears there because they believe in that vision, in that idea. So tell us your view in this, how leadership plays a role, because an entrepreneur, you start a business, you have a product, you want to sell it, make a little bit of money. That doesn't make you a leader. Leadership is a skill that the more you practice, the better you become. There is no such a thing, in my opinion, that you born leader. No, leadership is like driving. More you practice, the better you become. And the entrepreneurs, they just have a product, they want to sell it, make a little bit of money, have nothing to do with leadership. Now you have this work culture, and now entrepreneurs and the whole management team, they have to start to become leaders. So tell us a little bit more about this. How tech founders, how entrepreneurs is, um, progress in the way of leadership to reinforce the culture of the business, because when the company grows, now you're dealing with more people, it's more difficult.
So it's an interesting question, and it's very valid to ask, because what you're saying is there an evolution in a way in a
Mm-hmm.
company, or is it, the way you kick it off, that's what's going to happen. And I would divide that into like layers as if it were a cake. Because at essence, there are some things that will never change. It's like you try to, I don't know, I still try to convince my dad to think in a specific way. He's turning
It's not gonna happen.
77 this year. And I'm like, good luck with that, right? But in essence, there are a few things I will know that I know about him, and that is that if I need him to pick up the girls for me, it's always going to be on time versus his daughter and me with, severe
Yeah.
ADHD that I'm always either 10 minutes early or 10 minutes late. So I know I can count on him, and that would never change. And by
Hmm.
the way, when he launched his first startup and his second and his third, it was always like that. People always knew how
Wow.
accountable was.
Hmm.
Now, on the other hand, if you look at entrepreneurs, eventually the successful ones end up stuck in, and again, not stuck, but in the company that they thought they're going to launch and sell in, 3 to 5 years for over a decade.
Hmm.
Now, as a person, just imagine that. As a person, do you evolve over a decade? Hopefully so.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And I look at a company as if it were a person, as if it's an organism. So when you're 2, 3, 5, 50 people and up, it changes. Also, if you look
Uh,
at the
abs-
social working world, then the company changes in the way it operates in-house between 50 to 75 employees, and then 150 to 200 mark, and then the 300 mark and up. So as you evolve, you have to create an apply systematic processes that will help you lead your ship, because otherwise the CEO ends up in some kind of lockdown due to either physical or mental
yeah.
illness
Hmm.
because of all the stress. So having said that, if an organization is like a person and things change because just of the magnitude of the operation, then yes, the culture will change. But there's some things will always remain the same. For example, there's a company called SimilarWeb. The founder or author, the son of two craftsmen, launched a company that today is one of the largest web or online or digital research companies in the world. Okay,
Hmm.
every business should know either SEMrush or SimilarWeb. Um, he founded that company when he was 21 or 22 years old
Wow.
because he was looking for a solution to help his parents map the online world in order to best understand how to put up shop, not just in another area in a different neighborhood, but rather online.
Hmm.
Now, this guy, you can understand already from this story that he is so devoted to his core family that when other people in Israel, the culture is you go to the army, then you go on this very long trip to the Far East or South America or Africa in order to breathe, and then you come back and start your grown-up life at the age of 21, 22, 23. He didn't
Hmm.
go on that trip.
Wow.
He launched a company. He worked with his parents, and later on, he launched SimilarWeb. Now, at first, people would say that the regime at SimilarWeb was always very, very, very strict.
Hmm.
And he always wanted people to put in, invest in their time and essence in the company as if it were theirs, just like he is. And that is what he always expected people to do, be all
Hmm.
in. Over time, a few years ago, but I just met their chief people's officer. He got an amazing person who told me, now one of our core values, our culture talks about curiosity and the 110%.
Wow.
The reason it's so interesting, and to me it was very moving, because I wrote about all and similar web in my book, and then suddenly I see that their values have changed. They softened up on the edges.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's not
As
be the
they
first
grow,
in and the last
as they
out,
grow,
but rather,
yeah, yeah.
what is
Uh,
your 110%? You did well. Now
hmm.
let's help you
Hmm.
grow, because
Hmm.
if you get
Hmm.
out of your comfort zone, you'll grow, but
Hmm.
also it means that you're devoted to the company.
Hmm.
And on top of that, they didn't add that you must find a new way, but rather they created a company with a culture of curiosity. And you can see that when you walk in the corridor.
Hmm. I think
So
this is brilliant. This is brilliant because really, again, as you grow, you see, is there is. I'm glad that you touched this point. You have to. I love this word that you use. You soften. the culture, right? Because now you're bringing a lot of people to the organization. So now we need to enroll more people in that big vision. And it's completely different when you're starting. When you're starting up, when you are 10, 15 people there, is do it or die. Is so again, you have to be strict. However, now again, the company have product market fit. They are selling the product and everything. I think it's a very good move but look how he did it. He softened, but at the end of the day, it's
The
soft,
essence stayed the same.
but the emphasis is there. And I think this is the secret of culture. I'm glad that you
I think that is the point. That is why I'm very, very
That
passionate
was
about
my question. That was my question about the culture. I'm glad you answered so amazingly. It's like what happened with culture as we grow, because it's difficult. You need to keep this core value, but now when you have more people, we have to soften it. Okay. The other question that I would love to ask you is, because you touched this point about the big promise. About the promise, I love to call it the big promise, because this is actually really the backbone of the business, and no one, I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs out there don't take this seriously. They don't even know uh, what it means. And when you ask them this question, they again very is very common to find what you just described. No, I don't need one message. I need one message for my clients. I need one for my suppliers. I need one for my operators. I need 10 different messages, and and it looks like, for example, you describe what you do so easily. I think it was normal, 5 words, probably maximum 6. What you do, 360, and but these 6 words are look simple, but it's extremely complex to define, because sometimes the entrepreneurs don't even know which business they really are. Sometimes, people, like you see McDonald's, right? They thought they're gonna be in the business of selling burgers, and they didn't realize that they were in the real estate business. And
exactly.
so then your big promise, it had to be related. I don't know, with what business do you really have? So any secrets, Neely, how you can help the entrepreneurs out there, or how they can get it right? Because I believe that if you have this big promise, like that promise that you call it, define, this is very helpful, because it's like a train. If you are in the right track, the only thing is you need just push. But if you are in the wrong track, oh boy, I've been there in my
We all
businesses.
have.
Oh my God. Yeah,
If you're a
lost a lot of
serial
money.
entrepreneur, you've been
Yeah,
there.
oh my God. You put the train in the wrong in the wrong track, and you start to push it. Oh, that's not going to end up well. So tell us, any secrets?
So you're very right. That promise is one of the things that extremely removes friction from an uphill climb and really to go to and reach the product market fit phase. Um, I wish I could just say, go to sleep, you'll wake up with it in the morning, but first of all, many promises and many company and brand names, that's what happened. Like, Rolex, their founder ended up on a bus ride in the double deckers in London. He was sitting there took him weeks to find the name Rolex, and then suddenly he hopped on the bus and hopped off with the name. So on one hand, it happens suddenly, but I can tell you that from my experience of working for 15 years with entrepreneurs and companies and ones and some that have really grown exponentially, eventually that is what the core four is about. So if you want to reach the right promise, or you want to reach your right audience, or the operation mode, or the people that you're going to welcome onto your entrepreneurial bus, eventually the answer lies in that core four, in the compass that you created. And one of the elements of that compass is the promise. Now, if you still want me to try and nail it, and just like I did mine, eventually our vision is what we believe the world should look like, and what we will make the world look like in 18 to 36 months. How are we going to do it is with our core values, right? It's not what we're going to do, but how. This is how we're going to operate. This is what we believe in, which also justifies the vision, but it also helps us understand how we operate, how we choose our team members, what kind of customers we're going to have. And then we have that mission. Remember that North Star, the one thing that we do. And then when you have that one thing that you do, you say, we do this day in, day out so that you, Mr. Customer, can something, something. So once you are able to complete that paragraph of, we believe that, and that is why we are here, in order to make the world or people in a specific niche, like entrepreneurs, move faster with less friction and anxiety. That is what we do. That is what we believe in. That is the world I believe in once I'm able to live up to my mission. And that is to help as many people get aware, acquainted, and experience their core four. So that is my mission. That's what I do day in, day out. I share, I talk, I work, I run workshops and offsites, and I take amazing invitations like yours, Harry, to meet with people who have access to entrepreneurs. The core four is the essence, right? So that is what I do day in and out, and I can make you why do I do that? So that you, Harry's audience, can remove friction and anxiety and move forward faster in the right direction. Okay,
Mhm.
so that is how you wrap it up, and that's how you know that your promise is real, because it is the ending of your paragraph. Once you fill in that framework, I think it's very easy, but it does require dedication, and again, it is evolutionary. So many of the people I engage with, I see them a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, and and we touch base just to make sure that everything still fits. The good news is that once you run the core four and you turn it into not just a framework, but into a mindset, if something is not working with the promise, with your team, with investors, by the way, with your pitch, then you always know where to go back. It's like, I can't nail this deal. What's going on? What's going on? And then sometimes, like even for me I was, trying with my ADHD to complete a book in 10 months, and my first, right? And that's so, but then I found that, I was just like many entrepreneurs, that sleeping more, eating less, and working less. And but since, to me, family comes first, and I wouldn't it, I found that I got to get it out, unstuck from this situation. By the way, from very stupid entrepreneurial reason, but that is that my kids are watching. We have
Yeah.
four girls all together, and I cannot tell them, listen, you gotta go get it. I know it's tough, but let's just finish this. And they're all having, they're joining, they're completing their high school studies, and one of them is trying to. So what the funny thing was, and this is like the spiritual element of it, but the day I completed my edited manuscript and handed it to, and was ready to upload it to Amazon, my girl completed an exam that I was babbling on for months.
Wow.
But it was on that day, and she aced it with flying colors, and I had that manuscript, and we laughed about it later, but it was like, it's that kind of motivation, that your values are an engine. And that also is, the way to live up to your promise, because you can't make a promise that you don't believe in, or that's not the way you operate. That is why your promise is I put it also last.
Very good, very good. Then one more thing, let's talk about the importance of accelerators, because you see, when you start, most of the people, they start a business like by accident. Even me, you see, you have a problem, you solve this problem for yourself, um, you're making a little bit of money, and then you start to solve the same problem for the other people, and there you go, you are in business. But then something happened in this entrepreneur journey. My first business was in property. We managed to sell over 5 million, but I didn't know any better. My parents are employees. There is no entrepreneur reference in my family. Only my granddad, and he died when I was very young. Um, so in the end, I'm there in this business, and this is what happened. I'm wearing all the hats. I'm doing the selling, the accounts, the operations, and I'm exhausted. I'm tired. Um, and you see, when you're starting out, nobody, people people they don't want to buy your product, or they want to buy your product very cheap because nobody knows you, and then your suppliers, they want to give you a high price, and the operators. So you find a lot of resistance everywhere, which is part of the process to start your first business. And the process that happen is that you, because of lack of experience, this emotional pain of all this reaction start to store in your mind. Yeah. And in my case, for example, the first 2 years of the business, I'm like, I don't trust anybody. I'm not employing anybody. I don't going to allow anybody to talk with my landlords or even with my tenants. What if they open the door of the house and they steal a computer or something? So, but then I'm exhausted. I'm waking up with my laptop every single day in the labs, and I'm not even sleeping straight. I was working in the evening, going to sleep, and then wake up with my laptop. And I'm so tired that actually I couldn't function anymore. And then I start to hire people. Then I find out that everybody that I hired, they were better than me at everything. To the point that I arrived one day to the office and they told me, Harry, we don't need you. Go home. So they even sent me home. And they say, we can grow this company without you. However, that process leaves something that you're talking about, that emotional pain. And this emotional pain, if it's not treated, if it's not released, can become physical pain, and you can get sick. So the business without knowing can kill you. Because at some point in my business, all the tenants want to speak with me. We have like 170 plus tenants. They all want to speak with Harry. My team want to speak with me. Everybody want to speak with me. I'm thinking these people they're gonna kill me. I'm only one. They don't care that we call you 1 a.m. They have a problem. They say they gonna literally kill me. Even in this broadcast, one of the entrepreneurs, he has like three businesses were turning out like a million, and the guy was vomiting blood. And he told me, Harry, I'm running this business not running me. And then he took off. He went 1 year to Thailand, and he shared the story in this podcast. So these accelerators is actually a way to not only to uh, accelerate the growth of a company, but also have a huge impact, in my opinion, in the mental health of the entrepreneur, as that been there, that know the pain, that know how much work have to take. Look at me, I'm still a bit chubby, you see, because I took a hit of all the stress and then eating. You see, I'm still working on the
It's the
case.
cortisol. It's not you.
I'm
It's
still working
all
on the case
cortisol.
to, you see, to get hit. And tell us a little bit about how really important it is to have an accelerator, an incubator, somebody that help you um, to create that empowerment context, not only in terms of finance, but in terms of health, because as you already talked in this interview several times about the mental health of the CEOs, of the entrepreneur, of the team. Okay, so tell us a little bit more. What are the benefits? I'm a great believer of incubators and accelerators because of that. I've been that entrepreneur with no help, with no incubator, with no accelerator, with nothing, and it have up. I know that I could grow 100 times be faster with the help of an incubator and accelerator, with the right incubator and accelerator. Let's say that, yeah. But also, my mental health completely will be in different state of mind because I will learn faster how to become a leader, X, Y, and Z. So tell us your view on this. What is your opinion? How important are accelerators?
Well, first of all, it's only fair as we began. I am such a great believer that I'm launching an accelerator for people like us that are entrepreneurs, but not necessarily techies that have all of the platforms in order to help them really scale and grow quickly. But what I also learned from writing the book, which was what got me to even launch the accelerator, when I began the book writing journey not very long ago, I joined a team at the Creators Institute in Georgetown University that, as a semester, a term for 14 weeks, we went through an acceleration process in order to write the book. Now, they do not call it an
Wow,
acceleration. They do not call it an acceleration process, but
but this
eventually,
is what it is.
because I saw the curriculum and I am a university professor and an entrepreneur, and I mentor in the most inspiring accelerators in the world. I was like, this program, I've seen this before. It's the ideation and then incubation, and then we go right. We grow, create our manuscript, our minimal viable product.
Mm-hmm.
And what I learned is that that kind of togetherness, for some people, it was a first. We were tens of people, and my accelerator now is digital. So we were tens of people that on one hand, every day we had something we needed to do, or that was a week. But here with the accelerator I launched, there's a day-to-day task or something to think about and journal it and put it in a place that I can see it and my team can revive and review it so that we can help everyone personally, but also stay on the same path. And so there's no more aloneness. There's more like being or maybe I should have began my response with saying that being a CEO is or being an entrepreneur, not even a CEO. Everyone calls themselves a CEO, but eventually, hey, it's a 3 people startup to put right. But what does happen? But it's like what happened is that working together creates a motivation, and it shows you, first of all, that you're on the same boat with many other like-minded people that are hungry for success, that are alone. And it is extremely lonely. My partner Jonathan and I re-met after 12 years when
Wow.
I subletted office space in our startup for his startup. And my ideal was that, eventually I saw that I was extremely alone, and he was he was one of the people I could talk to that could really identify with my
Understand.
situation
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
about funding, about launch, about, anything. So that is the importance of an accelerator, and that is to be with like-minded people that are going through the same, pardon my French, shit, and that they are the ones who that for them this is a make or break, just like for you. And that is what an accelerator really does. And it brings you the best of frameworks, ideas, tools, and mentors so that you're not alone. You don't need to figure out what step to take at every step of the way.
Mm.
So it's like being parented in a way, but in the good way.
And then look, the something that happened to me. I'm coming from the traditional business world. I have property business. I have an English school. I have restaurant, different industries. Some of them successful, some of them failed badly. However, but then I have invested in tech companies, and I head them, and I advise some companies, and then. But this is what I what the were when I started to work with these companies. This is what all the tech entrepreneurs were telling me. Harry, you don't understand. Tech is different. Tech is different than other business. But the more I learn about tech and the more I see tech, I just realize that it's same like other business. I think that it's a huge misconception. I think that obvious maybe because tech companies they value more that the other traditional business might be, but this is my opinion, might be a misconception that okay, tech business runs in a different rules than traditional business. But what I learned so far is the more than I see tech, you see the rules apply the same. If you're not making profit, um, it's gonna be difficult to find someone to finance to give you to raise money. The venture capitalists they need to understand that you know what you're doing and what to sell your products. I hear a lot in the fundings that the VC or the angel investor they're telling to the founders, come and see me again in your next idea. So basically, and then looking at me and say, Harry, what this guy is telling me, I need the money now for this. I'm telling them, what he's telling you is that you're not an entrepreneur yet. You're not yet an entrepreneur. You don't
You are an
understand
entrepreneur, but
you're
you're
an
not getting
entrepreneur,
my
but not
money.
mature enough, not mature enough uh, for him, or you don't have the skills required for him to give you the money. I don't know how to explain you guys. That's why they're very polite. They say, "Come to see me in the next idea." This is how they want. But also, really, the even in the could be in the traditional business, could be the tech business. We have, especially because tech entrepreneurs, the software developers and so on, most of them. But anyway, they just have the product, yeah, and then the first step they do is try to look for funding to develop, to put more than in MVP. That is not an MVP anymore. Everybody missing the word M, and this become a huge elephant. And the whole point is focus in that product, and everybody is thinking with this mentality that okay, if the product is good, it will sell by itself. And this could be in the traditional business, could be in the tech business, and in my opinion, is a recipe for failure. So, what is your view? How different for real are tech accelerators to non-tech accelerator? How real is that difference? Or there is no difference whatsoever. However, we all understand that tech companies, they get value more, because this is in the same way. I don't know, that restaurant is 3 times or 5 times revenue. That much you can say that business. Well, happen that tech could be 10, 12, 15, sometimes multiples of 20, depending on the IP or the whatever. So tell us, there is any difference, or the principles of accelerator apply to all businesses?
Well, it's a great question. And I think most people still believe that there is a very big difference between tech startups and small businesses and entrepreneurs. However, if you think about it, and if you look statistically, most startups start just like a small business. They start with a small team, no funding, an idea, no customers, and not understanding the market fit and what will it really take to grow. So in terms of those characteristics, they're very much the same. This is, by the way, my work with the Core 4 Accelerator, because I truly believe that so many businesses that fail to launch, not just to reach product market fit, have the same problems and same challenges that the startup world
Absolutely.
does. And by the way, another thing there with that you can be very mistaken about revenue and profit, because even though startups in tech world are known to have vast investments in them because of the potential return on investment, if you look at many businesses that are solopreneur operated, or especially, by the way, ever since the digital world, which is it's been on for 20 years now. It's not like no one even knows that there was anything beforehand. The challenges are the same. Many of them are the same for small businesses and small startups. And that is my mission, to prove that the tools and mindset in the startup world can help the hundreds of millions of entrepreneurs around the world rise above the noise, find their product market fit, grow and scale.
Okay. Lastly, let's talk about your book. What inspired? I mean, I wrote several. Oh my God. Yeah. I don't have kids, but this my first book is like it was like a baby. I didn't want to let it go. I'm like, I need to make it better. I need to make it better. English not my first language. I'm lucky that my girlfriend, she's a book publisher, so she goes write the book for me. And but still, you don't want to let it go. It's like a piece of you go out there and will stay out there forever. And I also call it a gym for the mind. You see, it's like in the process of writing the book, I think you're doing it for others, but at the end, it it come off good for yourself. Now I write books, and I don't know if I'm doing it for them or for me, because every time that I write a book, a new change in approach of thinking happened within myself. So, what inspired you to write this book? How the process have been? Because I also have I'm very visual, so I have a deficit attention disorder. You see, I need to see. That's why my background is so visual and everything. I'm a visual person, so for me, read is not my thing. And I didn't do so well in the school. Same reason. So, so
You and
how
me
has
both.
So how have been the process of you to put a piece of content out there forever, and actually how this book can help entrepreneurs and founders to get some hope, because we want all the entrepreneurs from this podcast. We believe this is one of our core values. We believe that the entrepreneur has to be wealthy, healthy, and happy. We don't want to be an entrepreneur that have millions in the bank account and they are stressed, they have a cancer, they have a heart attack, or they are overweight. So the so what um what principles, what inspired you to write this book? What are the chapters? Why are you talking about this book? What and again, if people want to work with you, our listeners, how can they find you? How this process work? So can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Wow, what a question. So you and me both. The book writing process begins. For me, it was literally a one drink too many incident. And then I ended up living up to my promise. Lucky for me, I was able, given my business, to really take the time and dive into the process and commit to it, and join the Creators Institute back then. I'm not sure what it's called today, but because I know it changed. So you're right. The book writing process is extremely emotional. And as you said, it's somewhat therapeutic because for me, at least at first, after writing a few chapters, and I have a whole manuscript about the 6 types of startups that exist, and why they're all very similar to the tech world. But the anxiety and the imposter syndrome, and the as opposed to podcasts, by the way, as opposed to short stories or editorials, this is something that you really feel is carved in stone, and it's there forever, and you really want to leave an impact. And then there are all these questions about what is your real impact and how successful are you or were you so far in order to write this kind of book. So all those things, all that
Come to your
double
mind.
questioning.
It comes to everyone that wrote the book. Yes.
And one of my NLP coaches once said to me that, the more successful you are, the higher the imposter syndrome that you're going to feel. So in a way that it was not encouraging at the time, but I guess he was trying to make an encouraging and empowering point. And again, for me, the core four has been something that has been my baby for years. That's how I work with entrepreneurs and startups and VCs that bring me in order to help their companies. So the process of writing a book was also the process of not just saying there is a framework, but proving so, and finding a way for people like you and me, through stories that they will understand and know and love, and brands that they love, to give them all of these ideas of vision, core values, mission, and promise through engaging experiences that would make them laugh a little bit, that would make them experience what it means to have a vision and what are core values versus teaching or telling them. So that was very, very important to me. And that was extremely stressful because, again, as a first-time author, creating a book that is story told in a way that I'm very proud of, makes it just like any other product, which is what you said at first. If you've and Reese talks about it, but if you launched a product that you're proud of, it means you launched too late. So when I finished writing the book, I was like, okay, no, I'm not ready to launch yet. So I'm gonna record the audiobook, which I did, and it was with an extreme investment in the best facilities I could have with the best editors. And it was like,
Wow.
no, I'm not ready to launch yet. And then there was another angle and another angle. And so now there's an audiobook, there's a paperback, there's the Kindle, and now it's like, okay, 2025, time to
This
launch.
is
Now
it.
the sales are
Let's
up and I
let it
still
go. Oh
haven't launched.
my
So
God. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's different to let go. It will, when you write the second one, you will see the process become easier.
I
The
hope
other,
you're right. I've already begun, but I didn't
yeah,
tell
yeah, yeah.
anyone,
You will
especially
see.
not Jonathan, because
You will
like
see.
I promised him ROI.
Is
So
the
and now with the accelerator and the book launch, and there's a lot of work, but I do try to stay consistent and continue writing.
The other day, a guy it was about right about trading, and he has concern. He had this imposter syndrome, and I told him, look, you're not writing your book for Warren Buffett. You write the book someone like for me that doesn't know how to trade. So the book is not for the people that they are above you. Actually, think how many people can you help with your knowledge, and that helped the guy a lot. So I think that the putting like I said a book out there is something that can help the entrepreneurs, but also can see your view of your experience, your view of the world, the view of this fascinating world, because I find it fascinating, the startup and the entrepreneurial world. Yeah, that's why I'm loving to do this podcast because I've met amazing people like you. So this is fantastic, and I applaud you for go for it and for doing it. Yeah, to get the courage, because it takes courage to take the decision, it takes courage to write it, it takes even more courage to let it go and to put it out there. So then what's the title of the book, how people can find it, and if somebody want to work with you, any website, anything that they can, how the process works, somebody's in love with our conversation, how
Oh, I
how
wish.
how it works.
I really hope, first of all, I really hope that as many entrepreneurs find even a little bit of value in our conversation, and that's what it's like. It's
Oh, a lot, a
those
lot.
little
I
tips.
recommended to listen this broadcast twice. There is a lot of deep messages in this broadcast that they listen twice. Hopefully, they will get it.
Thank you. So I'm a very strong believer in personal connections, especially when working with startups and entrepreneurs that need a speedy growth. And I really appreciate people approaching me via LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the account that I manage by myself on my own. So, I go into that inbox every day, as opposed, by the way, to my email and my WhatsApp that are managed with my assistants, and they help me cope.
Yeah,
So,
Nelly,
if you
can you
want to
mention
talk
the
to me,
LinkedIn? Yeah, can you mention the LinkedIn link,
yes.
because
So
some
my
people
LinkedIn
is
handle
listening
is
in the car, so they not
Yes.
watching.
So my LinkedIn handle is Neely Goldberg, Nili Goldberg, Goldberg. Usually by the time you write Nilig, I will pop up. Um, and I can promise and reassure that that is an inbox that I check at least twice a day, and I do make it my business to respond and engage. In addition to that, you can just Google your core four, and that will lead you to the faster website, faastr.ai, which means to move faster through alignment strategies. And there's, of course, a contact form and a WhatsApp that you can engage with, and it will help you find me. Though personally, I do reply to LinkedIn, I make it my business. The book, Your Core 4, is out. It's been out since mid-August. It's
Wow.
available on Amazon globally as paperback and Kindle, as well as on audiobooks, and the distribution to Google Play, Barnes and Nobles, and every other outlet is also there. My preference, of course, is Amazon, so you can help me become a bestseller.
And without no, thank you so much, Nelly. This have been amazing conversation. You did make my day today. This is so powerful. I'm glad that we had this conversation, and I really encourage you to keep writing and keep helping startup companies to grow, especially the non-tech, because with this accelerator that you're launching, in my opinion, is more important than ever, because with the launch of AI and the new technologies, their the traditional business, if they don't start to embrace these new technologies, unfortunately, they're gonna be out of business. A lot of people are saying, no, AI is gonna quit. Is gonna take over my job. But the point is, as an entrepreneur, if you don't start to to embrace AI, it's not gonna be job for anybody. Your company will collapse. So the use of new technologies in what we call it non-tech businesses, they really need to catch up with these new technologies that they are out there, so they can increase productivity, they can increase profitability, and they can stay in business. So that's why I support you, and I think this is a great idea. What you're doing, leveraging the knowledge and the idea and the blueprint of the tech incubators, bring it to a traditional business. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I wish you well. Any help you need, you know where we are. And for all of you watching it in our social media and following Spotify and Apple, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable. How brave entrepreneur like Neely break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to our next meeting, and I truly believe that every entrepreneur in the world, there's no such thing as old school, old world, new world. There's one world, and everyone has the same tools and the same resources.
100%.
And this accelerator is for sure going to help everyone tap into them. Thank you.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.